a couple of days ago when I heard that I might have get to speak here.
I twisted his arm.
I'm not the orator that neither of them are, but I thought about actually writing down my notes on transparencies just for old time's sake. But then I remembered my vow after graduate school that I would never touch one of them again. So, and then I realized I also don't like to plan ahead. So, but I thought about a story about Dr. Cooper, and one came to mind really quickly. Was right at the end of my graduate career, I was cleaning out our lab down in the basement. I don't know if your lab is still down there, but all of us that know and love Dr. Cooper can imagine that it probably needed cleaning out. So I was cleaning out the lab, and it was the last year of my graduate career, and I came across a paper that I had written in my first year in grad school, and I was reading through it, and one, it was awful, but Dr. Cooper had painstakingly reviewed this paper, and big nose and what and all that. But he also took the time on the back to basically rewrite the paper, you know. And there was one and I was laughing about it when he came in, and there was one section of it that he hadn't marked up. And I asked him about it, and he's like, well, the other ones I had suggestions for improvement, but I didn't critique this one because I didn't have any suggestions for improvement. You know, and then wrote said a compliment about it, and that stuck with me because he would always try to. He didn't just criticize to criticize. It was always constructive criticism, and so I really tried to take that home, and because he's always trying to improve everyone around him. Two other things that really come to mind about Dr. Cooper was not so much what he taught us, but how he taught. And it really was like trying to think about, okay, what is in the mindset of my students? What can they relate to? And teaching by analogy. And I know as an inventor and a person, I benefit from this every day because, that is what I do. I take, okay, this is the problem I'm trying to deal with. What's analogous to this, and how does that problem get solved? And try to do, whether it's life, dealing with my two wonderful kids, or a problem at work, I do that same thing. So, in terms of your last lecture, you definitely help others, everyone around you, make progress and improve. And so, like Brian, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Alex O'Brien. I overlapped with Brian and Glenn a little bit. I finished my PhD in 2007, and I'm a faculty member at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse now. I was thinking about all the things just like these two, that I would talk about Dr. Cooper, and there's so many things that I learned from him. In particular, as a faculty member, how to be a thoughtful teacher and how to be a precise methodologist. And all of those things are really impactful in my career. But, what kept coming back to me was something that both Veronica and Brian have already mentioned. And that is that Dr. Cooper is just so unflinchingly honest. And for anybody who knows him, he is honest with others, sometimes very much unflinchingly so. And he's honest with himself. And, when I think about all the years we spent together, of the very few times that I was able to articulate a viewpoint that perhaps he hadn't considered, he would listen and he would acknowledge it, and he would, if appropriate, change his worldview, which demonstrated for me that even the most intelligent people can be humble and can acknowledge that there is more to learn. And I think that approach is what has stuck with me more than anything, that you taught me how to be very honest with myself and to really inspect my own views and to find bias and try to eliminate it, and find unsupported ideas and try to eliminate those, and to be intellectually honest. And those those character traits that you helped develop in me, they've made me a better professor, they've made me a better husband, a better father, a better friend. I'm very, very thankful for those things. And so when I think about, you know, all of the things that I gained from you, probably one of the funniest things that I know I talked to John about is very often when I'm grappling with some sort of intellectual decision that I need to make, I will honestly ask myself, what would Dr. Cooper say? And engaging in that perspective taking has almost never steered me wrong. And so I am so incredibly thankful for everything that you have done for me and the influence you have had on my life in almost every way. And it is still there because I think about you and I think about what you would think and what you would say, and that helps me to organize my own thoughts and be honest with myself. So thank you, sincerely, and congratulations. You guys need a roast here.
All right, so I'm Jonathan Call. I graduated after Alex in 2012. I'm at 3M, currently with Ryan and Glenn. And I actually wrote some notes. And I should say that what I discuss here were some of my memories. It is a memoir, Dr. Cooper, so don't correct me if the stories are a little not as you recall. And also my impersonation of you and your voice might be a little off, but I'll try to do this. So about 16 years ago, I was waiting for graduate responses. I was in the process of my year off from undergrad, and I was applying to various graduate schools. And I was applying my undergraduate honors as a painter. That actually came in handy sometimes, Veronica. I also, in the summer at times, I was a dog sitter too, so it helped subsidize my graduate studies. And anyways, back to the story. 16 years ago, I received this phone call. I'm waiting for graduate, hear back from graduate schools, and I hear this call. Hello, is this Jonathan Call? And I recall, I thought it was my friend Garrett, so I said, shut up, Garrett. It was one of my best friends. And there was a moment of silence. And then he said, is this Jonathan Call? This is Professor Eric Cooper from Iowa State University. We received your application. We'd like to bring you in for an interview. And I said, all right, yeah, I'll do that. And I'm surprised he didn't just discount me at that point. So I come in, I'm from Wisconsin. I'm driving here. And if you ever take from Dubuque to Iowa, it's just nothing but wind and straight fields. I'm like, God, this place is, why would I go here? And I came in, I had the interview, and then I was prepped. Bart Van Boris, some of you know Bart, he graduated from here. He was Veronica Dart's, he just recently retired too. He was a student, he prepped me for like, all the sorts of etiquette you need to do when you take these graduate interviews. One of the ones they said, he told me is, when you eat, whatever you do, don't eat messy food. Stay away from barbecue, stay away from ribs. And so we got done with the interview, and I'm riding with Glenn, Alex, and Dr. Cooper, and I said, where are we going? And Dr. Cooper said, we're going to this great rib place called Hickory Park, and you gotta have the barbecue. And so we did this, and I just could not believe, I had barbecue, I think I got a stain on my shirt. And then we proceeded there, Dr. Cooper dropped, we dropped Dr. Cooper off, he gave him some money, and he told his cronies here to go get John, have some beers on me and have a good time. But there was a catch. He said, I'll see you at 7 a.m. in the lobby of Memorial Union. And so we went out, we probably, we had some beers, I was not feeling the greatest that morning, and Dr. Cooper was very serious, talking about all these things. And to me at that point, it was, at the time, I was like, is this a test for this interview? And anyways, somehow he decided to choose me as a graduate student. And so let's just say Dr. Cooper and his posse of graduate students were anything but unconventional at that time. And I went back home, accepted the offer, though I was seriously considering the University of Iowa due to Brian Brooks's suggestion. Looking back now, choosing to attend graduate school at Iowa State and having Dr. Cooper was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. One of the best. Mary, like Jen, was the best. Dr. Cooper is one of the most brilliant minds I've ever met. I learned this the hard way my first year of graduate school. You see, Alex, if you remember this, Alex and I were at one of our Monday night meetings at, I believe, Okoboji or one of those places, and having a few beers when Dr. Cooper began asking me, to me at the time, were fairly innocuous philosophical questions about what I believed in. And they were simple. Well, do you believe this? Yes. Well, do you believe that? No. And then this and that. And after what seemed to me like 15 minutes later, he trapped me into this corner about why libertarianism was right and my liberalism was flawed. So I learned soon after to counter any question Dr. Cooper asked me with, I think it depends. Sure. And to say the least, he was less than pleased when we would get into these discussions. So I learned from Dr. Cooper how to give everything to the people you serve. I served as Dr. Cooper's TA in my first years and watched and learned his attention to every lecture detail, his passion for teaching and engaging with his lecture halls by making the course content relatable to undergraduates. Dr. Cooper has an uncanny ability to take very complex concepts and convey them into a consumable size, given the level of his audience's familiarity of the subject. I remember a tipping point for the first course I had self-taught brain and behavior. I was teaching the component around synaptic transmission action potentials, and I thought it was going to be so easy. It's so easy to me. And I went into class, and there was 150 students, and I lectured them. And after that lecture, it was completely silent. And you could tell the students were frustrated. They didn't quite grasp the concepts. So I called Dr. Cooper that day, and I said, I screwed up. I made a mistake. This is really important content because it's the premise upon which all the other material is built on. And so Dr. Cooper said, all right, well, why don't you pick me up? Let's go have a beer and I'll work on it. And this was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We worked probably two and a half hours working over each slide, going through that. And it was my first lecture, and I went back to the class and said, I screwed up, that's on me. This is really important stuff. I engaged a really close friend to help me do that material. I think it'll be better. They love that. And it just shows how much you can learn from Dr. Cooper. And I was really, really, really appreciative of that. I also learned from Dr. Cooper how to give hard love. So my master's thesis, I was in my second year, I was doing my master's thesis. And Dr. Cooper, I talked to him a little bit about my outline, and I was just in the process of starting my neuroscience stuff. So you kind of want to be neuroscience, you kind of want to be psychology, and you're trying to figure out the blend of how to combine both of those. So I gave Dr. Cooper my outline or discussed my outline. He said, yeah, okay, let's see what you can write. And Dr. Cooper then I gave Dr. Cooper it was about 30 pages of my proposal. And I went in and Dr. Cooper was just looking at it, and I saw nothing but, no, wrong, doesn't make sense. And so he asked me, are you doing cognitive psychology or are you doing neuroscience? I'm like, well, both. He's like, well, you're failing at both. So he took this, these 30 pages and he gave them to me, and he wrote all of, comments, and I said, so should I go and make comments on that? And he's like, honestly, I think you'd be better to just go back and start from scratch. I started making the edits before I realized how messed up this paper was, this proposal was. But what was really important was the brutal honesty made me better. It made me want to do better. He didn't sugarcoat things. And so when I actually received genuine feedback from him, it was really true. And so I really appreciated that from Dr. Cooper. In undergraduate, I also majored in political science. Dr. Cooper helped me realize my dreams of running a political campaign. So Cooper for Congress, previous to me joining, I think had a abysmal 2, 4, 5%. So we had a shoestring budget. I think it was maybe $1,500 or $200 for kind of content and material we're going to put out there. And we talked about the strategy, and I think we see it up here, the Cooper Smaller Government. And we put these huge signs because we realized visual attention, everyone just doesn't attend to these little small signs and it's just cluttered. And so we put these huge signs up around town in strategic areas with high traffic. And I remember that year you received, correct me if I'm wrong, about almost 25% of the votes.
No.
And so to this day, if you go into my LinkedIn profile, I'm currently Global Data Science Manager, and then you go down and it's Eric E. Cooper Campaign Advisor. And I'm not going to remove that because I'm so proud of that year and what we were able to do, and largely what Dr. Cooper was able to do. My most fond memories of graduate school was my time with Dr. Cooper on Monday nights. I love those things. It's something, the intelligent conversations, just whether it be talking about life, whether it be talking about sports or academia, it was just the best time. And it was always something I looked forward to. It was something when I went to the Twin Cities I really missed. We would play trivia, and it was really, really fun. Importantly, working under Dr. Cooper prepared me for a career in industry and lasting friendships with some of his former graduate students. Brian Brooks here married my wife and I. Married?
Did the service of the wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mary was the doula for my two daughters. One was born last year, and the other one was born 2.5 years ago. And then Alex and I have embarked on many rag rides and biking adventures, and I get to see Glenn. Glenn and I have worked together for 10 years. So I get to see all these people, that came before me, and so it's have a lasting friendship with all of them. And that's all because Dr. Cooper chose us as graduate students, and it was great. So with that said, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Cooper, and congratulations in your retirement.
Okay. All right. On behalf of the department, Dr. Cross, Susan Cross wasn't able to be here. She's at a conference, as you know. But she left a letter for you that she asked if I would read. So I'll do my best. I can't imitate her, though. I apologize that I'm not able to be with you for your last lecture and retirement. The retirement of Dr. Cooper is a real loss to the department. I'm sorry that the next cohort of students won't be able to enjoy Eric's enthusiasm and love of the field of psychology. Obviously, we've heard what an impact you've had on the students, and it is a profound loss for the department. Eric has made his mark in the classroom. When asked students, students are effusive about his classes. Here are a few comments. These are comments from students. Dr. Cooper found ways to get the class involved, even though it was very large and long lecture class. He provided many demos that allowed us to assess our own sensory experience, explained how different genetic factors could cause these findings to differ. I love Dr. Cooper's lecture style. It's easy to follow, retain, and synthesize. I also appreciate the feedback he provides on the written assignments. The course has definitely made me a more concise writer. I enjoyed the experiments that we did during class. It helped me to understand the material all while laughing. And my favorite part was the professor. Dr. Cooper was very knowledgeable about the things he taught in lecture, seemed very passionate when talking about it. His passion helped me to focus in lecture and actually pay attention to what he was saying. Eric's many teaching awards also highlight his excellence in the classroom. These include the Department of Psychology Award for Lifetime Achievement in Teaching, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Award for Outstanding Achievement in Teaching, the Shake Shaft Outstanding Teacher in the Social Sciences and Humanities Award, Iowa State University Award for Early Achievement in Teaching, and the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Award for Early Excellence in Teaching. Eric's contribution to the graduate program and to the training of doctoral students cannot be overlooked. We've heard some of those experiences here today. His students have gone on to work in several different colleges, universities, and industries, including 3. And one of our graduate students, Dr. Brian Brooks, was recently awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award from the Department of Psychology and the College of Liberal Arts. Finally, Eric's reach has extended beyond the classroom, as he's been an eager and supportive faculty advisor for many student organizations. These include the Psychology Club, ISU Normal, Turning Point USA, ISU League of Legends, ISU Libertarians, ISU Young Americans for Freedom, ISU Students for the Second Amendment, to name just a few. I'm sure there are more. Eric, you will be missed. We appreciate your many contributions to the department, to the students, to the university, and we hope your retirement brings new adventures and that you'll stay in touch. And on behalf of the department, we have a gift. I'll let you open it, but I want to point out one thing, which is, come on over, which is that we understand that you enjoy opera and that you're going to have some time on your hands. So the department's gotten you some tickets for the opera.
Sweet.
There's a card in here, and there's also something that you can open and show that we hope will bring good memories of ISU.
Oh, cool.
So congratulations, Eric, on your retirement, and thanks for all that you've done.